Somebody asked in the chat, what's the plan for follow-up to maintain momentum? This is work that's going to get carried by many people, and I'm going to ask Pastor Nicholas to give some thought about a couple of vectors that we do. We are going, the immediate first step is that we're going to start surveying you and reaching out and doing relationship work. There are a number of activities where you can get involved right now. There's a very specific conversation around the central terminal next week. That information's been put in the chat. I'm sure Brittany can lift it up again. It's such an iconic place within the community, and thinking about how we use that structure and that investment to forward some part of this vision. But I think that at this point in time, and then LISC will be going deep again with communities and doing additional meeting and listening and focus groups all through the winter. And really, but part of the work is really connecting, like talking to Wakanda and talking to Colored Girls Bike Too, and talking to the community organizations, and really working through those spaces and push and others. Open Buffalo. We've been really delighted that so many community organizations were part of this agenda today and are already doing this work. Preservation Buffalo Niagara and Buffalo Urban League. So we've got great organizations on the ground right now. I would encourage us all to get involved and support that work that's taking place and use it as a vector. So moving forward, LISC recently, and we will be sharing notes and everything. LISC is really dedicated to a high level of transparency in our work. So everything will be on a website and on Facebook and social media as quickly as we can get it out. I want to invite our newest LISC Local Advisory Council member, Pastor George Nicholas, to now come together and I should help us close out the day. He's been with us for a good part of this. He is a reverend at the Lincoln Memorial United Methodist Church. He has been doing a huge amount of work in really challenging power structures around racial equity and health, and is convening and really, again, motivating a number of people and holding them accountable to do better and make real change in real time for our Black and Brown communities. So Pastor George, if I can find you in this space, there you are. Thank you.
Thank you, and I just will only need a few minutes of your time yet. Thank you so much, Julie and Brittany and the entire LISC team. They're doing some outstanding work in terms of creating safe spaces and good spaces, productive spaces for us to do our work. I just want to three things that kind of jumped out at me in our listening to all of the great presentations today. I'm so glad that we are freely and consistently and openly talking about reparations. This notion that we can achieve equality without reparation, I think is a fantasy. And so we really need to have conversations and be open about and using that language about reparations. I mean, the journey of African people living here in America was not, and the suffering was not a divine action. It was an action that came as a result of some very evil and sinister activities of people for generations that profited greatly from it. And there has to be, before we can have any real conversations about equity, we have to have a conversation about repairing the damage that was done. And I'm going to come back to that real quickly, but three quick things real quick. Power of imagination, number one. I'm so glad to hear people, to be able to be liberated to speak in terms where their imaginations drive what they believe should happen within their own communities. We should not be stifled by existing structures and systems and to just settle for what we think they'll give us as opposed to what we know we need for our own communities. So I think having the conversation driven by the power of imagination is essential. Number two, the power of self-awareness and self-identity. The ability to know who you are, know your value, and be very aware of it, and then defining yourself and by your standards, by who you see yourself as, and understanding your intrinsic value. As Black people living in America, we have been undervalued from day one, right? In terms of 3/5 of a man, the whole situation there. But yet we were the most valuable because we were the first commodities and first things to be used as collateral in the banking system in America were Black and brown bodies. And so we understand our value. And so our work should be driven by the value, understanding our own value and our own self-identity. And the third thing is the power of collaboration. You know, we can romanticize that, you know, we can do things by ourselves, but even hearkening back to the Black Panther movie, and you know, when the Black Panther himself was in a dire situation, right? His family had to go to another group, another tribe, another for help, right? To get him out of his bad situation. And so we have to understand the value of collaboration. It has to be real, it has to be relationship driven, not driven by our own self-interest in terms of our organizational self-interest, right? So collaboration is not coming together to write a grant, right? You're really coming together because your organization wants to get some money and you need to sit with some other folks to write that. That's not real collaboration. The real collaboration is when you work together, right? And you know, there's really no money involved, but you're sharing the vision of others and you want to work with them. And that collaboration has to run cross-generational lines. We cannot allow, one of the ways that our oppressor was able to capture our folks was the separating of the elders from the warriors, right? And so the elders maybe not having the strength to fight anymore, and the warriors not having the wisdom to know how to fight. And so when you make those separations, then it makes the whole community vulnerable. So it's very important that when we work in collaboration, we work cross generations. We work cross ethnicities, because the concept of race is not even a reality. I mean, that doesn't even exist. So we have to work across ethnicities and be able to partner with people whose life experiences and life journeys were different. From their ancestors were different from our ancestors, but we can create a better world by working in collaboration and working across class lines, right? It's you know, stop. You know, some people have some money, and some of them have gotten money by honest means or what have you, or some folks haven't got money from dishonest means, but they want to use it for a good cause or something. But not, you know, not. We got to stop all this classism, and it goes, you know, in a situation where sometimes people think they have a little bit of education and they think they know so much more than people who haven't had the opportunity to have an education. A lot of times education, or the ability to have an education, has a lot to do with privilege. And so we want to make sure that when we're working together, we work across class lines. But the best part of the day was the fact that our brothers and sisters from the Wakanda Alliance reference Parliament Funkadelic, which, for those of you who know me personally, know that George Clinton, and you know, I have in sermons quoted George Clinton because there's so much wisdom and power in his work. And so a lot of times when we talk about these things, and when we think about that movie Black Panther and the notion of Wakanda, for some, it seems like a fantasy, right? It seems like, that's just you know, something that is in a movie. But one of a great song by the Funkadelics, written by George Clinton, is a song called "Fantasy is Reality," right? And so one thing that when I want to close with these lyrics is, institutions are not designed to be revolutionary, right? So we got to get out of our minds that an institution is going to do revolutionary things, but the people have the right to have access to the resources within those institutions, and then we could take those resources and do revolutionary things with them, right? And so, and I want to leave with these lyrics from this song. Fantasy is reality. So when you think about Wakanda, we think about the Black Panther. Yeah, it's in some movie, it's you know, people talk about sci-fi and fantasies and stuff, but fantasy can become reality. And let me just read these lyrics and then I'm done. It says, fantasy is reality in the world today. I'll keep hanging in there. That's the only way. Recollections of what my granddaddy used to say keeps me hanging in there. That's the only way. My mind is mine. and mine will always stay. No way of life, no man-made law is going to take it away. I see the light and taste the blood of your song. It tells me to carry on. It tells me to come on home. This is a great movement. We're committed to working together. We're going to get this thing done, and LISC is going to give us some infrastructure, some technical support, so we can keep this working. It's been a long day. Thanks for spending the day with us today, and that's all I got.
Julie, you're on mute.
I'm the worst on the muting, sorry. I want to thank each and every person who took time again out of your lives and out of from the amazing competing priorities that you all have, which are equally valuable to this conversation, to spend time with us today. I want to thank our staff again for doing a huge amount of work in order to create the infrastructure for all of this to take place. I want to thank everyone who shared their stories, their talent, their art, their creativity, their good minds, as Michael said at the beginning of this process. This is just the start, and we look forward to moving forward with you and being here consistently. I want to thank everyone who helped support LISC, because they've created the conditions for us to not come in and do a scope and a project with you, but to be with you on a journey, which is a really different experience. And so I'm humbled by everything that took place today. I'm really inspired. I have cried a number of times. I know others were shedding tears, and that's just the wealth and the sacredness of what we've shared today. So I want to thank everyone again. Brittany's reminding me that there is a survey. We want you to give us feedback on how this went, and because we're always trying to improve, we're always trying to do better, and we know that there's room to grow in this process. So thank you very, very much. We are all going to be plugging the Wakanda Alliance, as well as all of the other parties that we got to partner with today. And I can't thank you all enough for spending such a huge amount of time in front of a screen to connect with each other today. Hopefully next time we do this, we get to be in person. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Oh, sorry. I want to actually just let me thank our production people today, because they were incredible. They made all of the logistics happen. And Shea and Jake, you were incredible. And we highly recommend them for anyone else who has to do a digital event. They were great to work with.